Dad's birthday would have been tomorrow. He would have been 74 this year if he had lived for the past 8 years. So anyway, I'm making this little video of where I can imagine he would want to be tomorrow for his birthday. This is where it begins. As you can see, the winter floods washed in a big half-rotted log that I'll deal with later. I'll saw it up and burn it. And a tree had been growing here for the past 9 years or so, and I put off cutting it down, and it became a brush collector. Stuff piled against it, and this winter it knocked it over and destroyed it. So I'm going to clean up that mess, and then the brush will not continue. And there's this little cove over here where it seems to wash up really nice geodes. That's the young Amish guy that neighbors here. He built a really nice barn this past year, and I'm guessing he has no debt. And he's got one heck of a skid loader over there. He said him and his brother own half of that together. But that's a woodworking shop and barn with an open shed attached for his horses. And he built on it a little bit at a time all last summer. And I'm just guessing with his 7 acres and modest house that he's probably a debt-free young man in his mid-20s with his first child due this fall. But anyway, I thought that's interesting. But I keep picking up these rocks as they tumble up, and I throw them up into these woods, and I battle all this brush. It washes out sometimes during the flood, and then I weed eat up in there, and sometimes I spray weed killer to kill poison ivy, because I like having this nice looking entrance. I think Dad would have appreciated that. And this is where you would cross the creek with a vehicle. And so I call that Dad's redbud tree. You can't hardly see it, but I've cleaned around that. And this gravel washed out into the middle of the creek this year, and it made it much smoother. It was just some big busted up flat, huge, like paver stones out in the middle that you had to drive across slow, or you can tear up bushings and damage your tie rod ends and stuff like that if you're young and still tearing up your trucks when you cross a creek. You got to go slow unless you want to spend all your money. But anyway, I spray and weed eat, and eventually I'd like to plant some shrubs all up and down through there, and I'll cut down all the little trees. It may take me a lifetime, and I might even pressure wash off the faces of these big rock ledges so that they'll be nice and shiny. And then cut down most of that stuff down through there along the way. I've cut down half of it and had brush piles and fires and since 2011. It's a nice bottom there. It's only 3 or 4 acres, and it stays too damp to build anything. I believe it could flood. It has at least once in the past 50 years, according to a neighbor. But so the water gets right up to the edge, so I wouldn't risk it. But there's a next field up on the above ridge that would solve that, a few acres clear. But anyway, that's my big vision. I'll eventually clear that completely off, the Lord willing, and I have good physical health. That'll keep me in good shape, hopefully for at least 20 more years. And then I'll see these rock ledges all down through there, and I'll probably will pressure wash them off. And after I cut down all the little scraggly trees, then they'll get more sunlight and they'll stay clean, and you'll just see the sandstone ridges of where all that used to be probably a river. And of course it's excellent dirt. I guess you could grow corn there, or trees, river birches and red twig dogwoods and stuff such as that could tolerate damp soil conditions. So I need me a little footbridge across there for in the wintertime. I'm just waiting to find the right 2 logs to drag across there. It's about 30-foot span, and lumber's ridiculous. Steel beams are outrageous. So when 2 of the right oak trees go down in a wind, or for clearing a field path, then that's where those will go, and I'll fix a little bridge. And then who knows, maybe I'll end up with a concrete bridge right there someday. And I'll spend the rest of my days up on the next ridge overlooking the field, and I will be known as Old Man Cooley.